Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to jump straight into our program for our opening presentation. And this presentation is going to engage the operational realities that African airlines are currently prepared for. And with the new ICAO rules now in force, things certainly must change. And this presentation, titled Space, Weather and Aviation, Understanding the Risk as well as Managing the Impact, is proudly brought to us by the South African National Space Agency. And to expertly usher us into this theme, please welcome the Weather Manager at SANSA, Ms. Mpho Tshisaphungo. Let's welcome her with a round of applause.
Thank you very much. Thank you to Maureen and the AFRAA team for inviting SANSA to talk about the space weather and its impact. So space weather, what do we mean by space weather? So I'm going to talk about weather in space. Most people are familiar with terrestrial weather, the information that is prepared for flights. So on space weather, what we do is we look at the sun and the particles that are emitted from the sun. They can impact satellites which are orbiting in space. You can see here the Earth magnetic field. We have satellites which are orbiting up in space, and some of these energetic particles from the sun, they interact with our Earth atmosphere and then into the North Pole and the South Pole, and then we have this interference on our technological systems. So it's important for aviation that they are aware of the space environment that they are flying, as well as the technological systems that we use, like radio communication, navigation, and satellite services. So how space weather impacts aviation, African aviation? So we have high-frequency communication, especially for polar routes, as well as the areas over the sea, oceans, where we don't have ground instrumentation. And then we use also satellite for navigation. And then also the crew and the frequent flyers, they are exposed to radiation, which is emitted by the sun. Also, some of those particles that you see from the sun, they can affect sensitive avionics. And then you see that some of the onboard computers will be affected. And this is a global issue, not only for the African region, but however, this is becoming more relevant for the African region because we want to be more aware of the technology that we are using and what other factors can impact our technological systems that we use. So here you can see that we have an area called the area which has the weakest magnetic field on Earth. It's called the South Atlantic Magnetic Anomaly. It's between South America and Africa there, and that's the area with the weakest magnetic field. And sometimes the particles from the sun, they reach deeper into our Earth atmosphere, and that can impact our technological system. We also have a phenomenon called the Equatorial Ionization Anomaly. You can see the global map there down on your left. That Equatorial Ionization Anomaly is a phenomenon that we know in space physics, that some of these energetic particles, they can attenuate the signal over that region, and it affects navigation over that region. And then we also, when we have these solar storms, You can see there's a map here with red showing it's a polar cap absorption or radio absorption in the polar routes, as well as over during the day side. So when we get these storms, you can get impact on your radio HF communication. So you can see that we are affected in different ways over the African region. And some of the potential cost of space weather, it's like there are different factors that increase the cost in aviation due to the major space weather events. And some of those are the flight safety, the flight schedule, the aircraft availability and maintenance, the crew rotations, as well as airlines, and for airlines already operating on tight margins. So some of these factors, they can impact your cost in aviation. And here I just have an example of some of the studies which were done. This one was done in the UK, where they study space weather impact on different sectors, and then you can see the impact over the UK for aviation specific. Then the other bar graph shows the study which was done. That one was done in China over the Equatorial region. So you can see the Equatorial ionization anomaly factor that I was talking about. These are different aircraft, the VHH, ZGG. These are different aircraft for different scenarios. And then you can see they were doing the economic cost or the economic impact of space weather in aviation. So you can see some of the costs for aviation over China. So we can do the same within the African region, just to look at some of the economic impact. So I just have a few examples for some of the space weather impacts. That is like the evidence of space weather in aviation. So the one event, it was last year in November in 2025, where there was an issue with the Airbus, and they had to, I think it was a software, but after doing further investigation, they realized that there was a solar storm which caused, the charged particles caused some computational data error on the software. So sometimes you are not aware that there's such space weather event. So if you experience an issue, you can just maybe say it's an unknown error, but an unknown error maybe can be space weather, who knows? And then the other example that I have is an example of the Red Bull Air Race X. This was a storm in 2024. So what happens is that in October there was a powerful space weather storm that happened, and then this team in Grahamstown in the Eastern Cape here in South Africa, they were wondering what's happening with their navigation when they were trying, and then they were off by several meters. However, when they investigate or look, because they had to they have to digest what the issue is and open up their aircraft. They thought it was electronic issues. And after doing all the diagnosis, they went onto the internet, check what can cause bad GPS errors. And then they found that some space weather can cause bad GPS errors. So I just have a video to show you on the evidence of space weather and what this team did.
It's pylon hit after pylon hit. Back deviation to high in the gate, to low in the gate. It's the final race for 2024 series of Air Race X, and we just cannot make it work.
I'm Greg Ritz, team manager for Team 77. So 13, 14, 15 practice flights down, and we can't get a clean run. Patrick, the pilot's confidence is going, myself, Mark, trying to isolate the problem, thinking it's a GPS receiver. You know, we're on calls with Air Race X, with Ben and Aaron, trying to find a solution, going through the readings. And while we're waiting for that, I go onto my computer and I start Googling GPS deviations. You know, what can cause bad GPS readings? And right there, in front of me, we are flying during the second biggest solar storm in 2024. And that's when I found them. The South African National Space Agency.
Hi everyone, my name is Boitumelo Makobe and this is
Nkosinathi Masango, and we are space weather forecasters for the South African National Space Agency.
So when Team 77 contacted us, we had to make sure that we understand what their problem was so that we can be able to give them accurate information and accurate space weather information so that they can be able to make informed decisions and also be able to fly in the limited time that they had.
It's a privilege for us to have SANSA on board with us, them showing interest in our sport, you know, enabling us to get accurate weather forecasting, especially out of space, which I didn't even think was something relative to our sport. But yeah, having them on board with us has made us a lot more efficient with selecting the correct days in order to do, you know, our races, our practices within the race window that's given to us.
So I will just continue. I see my time is running up. But that was one of the examples. People who just, by coincidence, found SANSA and understand that space weather can cause GPS errors. So sometimes you may not be aware that some of your systems or the errors that you are experiencing is because of space weather. And how can we manage the risk of space weather impact? So what we can do is just create awareness in space weather, provide the space weather information to the aviation industry, and then we can also provide training as well as planning. It's important for aviation as well. And this is how SANSA can support the African aviation industry. So we are based in Hermanus in the Western Cape, and we run a 24/7 space weather operations, and we are an ICAO-designated regional space weather service provider since 2018, and we are fully integrated into the global centers. We have 4 global centers, and I'll just move to my next slide now. So those are the 4 global centers. It's a consortium of European countries. We have China-Russia consortium. We have the USA, as well as the Australia, France, Japan, and Canada consortium. So we have 4 global centers, and the regional center as SANSA, we support all those global centers with our regional space weather information. And our regional space weather information, it's limited. That's why we are expanding. If you see here the map of the African continent, we are expanding our instrumentation so that we'll be able to monitor these space weather conditions across the African region. And we also partner nationally. We partner with HNS, South African Weather Service, and Department of Transport in engaging some of the aviation stakeholders nationally. And also, we have been working with the HNS to develop a space weather training curriculum because we have identified that training is important for people to be aware of space weather. And this is my last slide. So, in conclusion, space weather is the study of the sun. Most people, they know the sun is there to give us life on Earth, and it's good, but there's also some of these energetic particles that affect our technological systems, especially the satellites and the navigation that we are dependent on. And this space weather can degrade HF radio communication, and then damage, it can, GNSS accuracies, damage avionics, and also can lead to excess radiation exposure. So training is important, and we are working together with ATNS to develop the training. And we can provide as well just general space weather information on our website. And then we are also hosting the ICAO user workshop on space weather in June in Hermanus. It's on the 8th and the 9th, and people are welcome to come to Hermanus in the Western Cape. Thank you very much, and these are my contact information.
Thank you once again to Ms. Tshisaphungo for deepening and expanding the conversation of possibilities into the geomagnetic fields and their cosmos and their impact on the future as well as the present of African aviation. Ladies and gentlemen, might we honor our closing panel with another round of applause. You know, I have the pleasure to call Johannesburg and Nairobi home, and Ira, I cannot confirm or deny that Jumbo Jet was my very first flight across Kenya, but in my household, we also like to optimize for profitability, so we do use Sports Safari Link and Jumbo Jet to navigate across the coast and the Mara, so thank you so very much for that conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, that does officially conclude our formal program of the day. And honestly, what a day it has been. We ask you to continue the conversations over a cup of coffee, over a cup of tea, and continue the conversations that have started on the stage. We're going to continue this until 5:30, and after that, in just over 2 hours, we're going to convene once again in this auditorium, and we're going to do so for the gala dinner, where we extend an invitation to join us as we celebrate the incredible fears and opportunities and the breadths and the leaps that have been taken across the excellence when we are speaking to African aviation. In order to get in, we are going to request that you have your boarding pass with you. So please do carry your delegate badges with you in order to engage with us in the gala dinner. Parking validation, once again, can be obtained at the registration desk. If you haven't yet gotten the opportunity to do so, our incredible team will be on hand to assist you. Once again, a huge thank you to our sponsors, to our partners, our speakers, and each and every one of you that has made it until the very end. This is also called the night shift. So thank you very much for making it until the very end. Please give yourselves a round of applause. The gala dinner commences at 7:30. We're going to start our program promptly, so we kindly ask that you start making your way into the auditorium at 7 p.m. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been an absolutely amazing day to kickstart this convention. Thank you so much, and see you at the gala dinner this evening.